Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. My name is Troy, and I really do appreciate you taking your time tuning into my video. Before I get on with today's video, I just want to say wow. I want to thank everybody that watched my video I posted, I believe it was 2 days ago. And if you haven't watched that particular video, it's a video about when the ATF came to my house and accused me of selling firearms to make a profit without a license, without any proof whatsoever. And as of me making this video today, the video has over 110,000 views. I really do appreciate everybody that watched that video. It's just mind-blowing how much it took off. And if by chance you watch this video and haven't watched that one, I'll put a thumbnail at the end of this video where you can click on it and you can watch it. Is it a coincidence that Polymer 80 started selling their product again, and then the ATF sends a stern warning letter to all federal firearm licensees, manufacturers and distributors of firearm parts, components and accessories? Advisory makes clear that investigation of willful efforts to violate federal laws regulating the manufacture, the sale of firearm frame and receivers is an ATF priority. I'm going to post up on the screen a copy of the letter so we can go through it, and then I'll come back and we'll finish up the video. As you can see at the top, it's an ATF news release from Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. Today, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued a public safety advisory to the firearms industry and the public regarding the application of Final Rule 2021-05F, definition of frame or receiver, and identification of firearms. The advisory highlights the public safety threats addressed by the Final Rule and makes clear that ATF will continue to prioritize investigations involving willful efforts to violate the provisions of the Gun Control Act as implemented in the Final Rule regulating the manufacture and sale of firearm frames and receivers. People who engage in the business of dealing firearms are subject to the Gun Control Act, said ATF Director Stephen Dettelbach. That means they need to run background checks and sell guns with serial numbers. That is what the Ghost Gun Rule is about. Today's advisory is simple. If you're dealing firearms, including items that can be readily converted to a working firearm, ATF is going to make sure you are following the same laws as everyone else. In April 2022, the Department of Justice announced a frame or receiver final rule that modernizes the definition of a firearm. The final rule, which went into effect in August 2022, clarifies that when partially complete frame or receiver, including one in a parts kit, is readily convertible to a firearm, they are subject to all same regulations as a firearm made by a federal firearms license manufacturer. Therefore, those who are engaged in selling these items and kits must be licensed to sell firearms pursuant to the GCA and comply with all GCA's requirements, including serialization and running background checks. In determining whether a partially complete frame or receiver, whether sold individually or in a kit, is a firearm, ATF will consider all items made available by the seller, including marketing materials, applying the factors described in the Final Rule's regulatory text. Some suppliers of partially complete frames or receivers appear to be attempting to willfully circumvent the rule by selling parts from the type of firearms parts kit covered by the Final Rule in separate transactions, or coordinating with other distributors to sell, market, or make available individual parts that when put together create a frame or receiver. When considering whether an individual or entity selling partially complete frames or receivers is engaged in activities that require a federal firearms licensee, ATF will consider the seller's marketing conduct and materials. This may include the seller providing information on how a partially complete frame or receiver may readily be converted to a firearm, serving essentially as instructions or guide. It may also include internet links or templates, jigs, molds, equipment, tools, or other materials that enable ready completion or assembly of the unfinished frame or receiver into a firearm. This is because such materials may affect how readily the part may be converted. When a supplier in such a circumstance fails to comply with the GCA's requirements, that may constitute a willful violation of the GCA. ATF considers such conduct and all willful violations of GCA an investigative priority. ATF recognizes that most suppliers and the public follow the GCA and its implementing regulations, including the frame or receiver final rule. The advisory is intended to assist the firearms industry and the public by providing additional information regarding ATF's investigative priorities related to violations of the GCA as implemented by the final rule. And here's what really gets me. Anyone who observes suspected violations of GCA or ATF's implementing regulations may report them to www.atf.gov/ATF/tips. ATF regulates the firearm industry and is the lead federal law enforcement agency with jurisdiction involving firearms and violent crimes. More information about ATF and its programs are available at www.atf.gov. First of all, that was a load of crap, wasn't it? And second, do they actually think people are going to rat out other people and send tips to their tip line? They've lost their frickin' mind. Here's an idea. We could go to the tip line and ask them why they're constantly trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. And also, why are they concentrating their efforts on law-abiding citizens instead of going after the criminals? They've just got it back-asswards, don't they? Let me know what you guys think about the story in the comments section down below. And as always, I really appreciate everybody's support. You guys have been killing it, liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And also, I appreciate all the new subscribers. And I invite all of you back to see my next video.